Good morning. It's Kath Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. My special guest today, my special co-host, is Stephanie Calahan. And I don't even know what the LH is. Are those middle names in there?
Yeah, they're middle names. When I got married, I couldn't bring myself to drop my given middle name, and I couldn't bring myself to dropping my maiden name. But Hammett Calahan was way too long to say, so I didn't want to be a hyphenated person either. So I just made it a middle name.
Oh, I got you. I didn't realize that I could have dropped my middle name, which I almost never use, except my grandfather always called me Susie. It's Susan. But I get you, because my full name, my full legal name is Kathleen Henderson, Susan Henderson Sturtz. So my hyphenated legal name is Henderson-Sturtz. My books, including my award-winning books, are all under Kathy Henderson. So I didn't want to drop that. I didn't remarry for 9 years. Now I wish I had just dropped maybe Susan and left Henderson without the hyphen Sturtz, but it's not important enough to. And I've got a DBA for Cat Sturtz now. So
well, and you know, I have a lot of fun. People will often ask me what the LH is, and I'm like, well, make it up. What do you think? Laughs happily. You know, I mean, what
Lady, I like this one, Lady Hero.
There we go. Oh, I really like that one too.
So all right, so
good copy friend that has come up with a slew of them. But yeah, that's the background too.
That's cool. All right, well, Lady Hero Calahan, you are here to help teach us some fast action tips on how we can sell our services without feeling creepy. So first of all, I want you to tell people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Stephanie, and I work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, and I work with them to help them own their brilliance and leverage their knowledge and their genius, along with boldly building a business around who they are, so that they can make a powerfully positive difference in the world, exponentially up-level their profits, because you know we're in business to make a profit.
And we can't help anybody if we're out of business.
Right. And live a life they love of guilt-free freedom. You know, most of the people that I work with are truly freedompreneurs, and I am too. But they're also people with a message. They're here to make a difference with the work that they do. And so when you combine that guilt-free freedom with a way to really deliver some powerful transformations in the world, it's magical for what my clients are able to do. And I have a little part in helping to make the world a better place.
Exactly. And I know what some of those barriers you're talking about are. I talk about them and refer to them as the 4 elephants that we all wrestle with that prevent us, no matter what we know up here is the logical, practical, skill-based thing to do. If it's not providing the solutions and the results you want, something else is going on. And we need to look at those things like you're talking about to find and rectify those things. So what's our first fast action tip? How do we do that?
Well, so today we're going to be talking about sales, which some people would call that kind of a 5-letter word that's like a 4-letter word, because when people think sales are like, oh, I don't want to do that, right? And so what I'm going to share today are some really simple things that you can do, often even before you get into a sales conversation, to put yourself in a position where you're looking at sales a little differently. So the first fast action tip is to decide who you're going to be to support your prospective client. Now, that just sounds really generic, right? What do you mean by be? There's all different states of being that we hold ourselves in when we're having any kind of interaction with somebody. So for the people that typically don't like sales, they're scared, frustrated, nervous, anxious. Those aren't really empowering states of being to be in. And the people that we're talking to need us to be powerful. You know, they've got a problem. They want their problem to be solved. And so they need us to be carrying ourselves in a way that's going to empower them to do what they need to do. So one really simple thing that you can do right now, today, is sit down and decide when you're talking with your prospects, where are they mentally and how are they feeling? And how do you need to show up in order for them to be able to have a positive experience? Are you loving? Are you happy? Are you energetic? Are you powerful? Whatever states of being words really resonate with you, and then post those by your phone or by your computer, wherever you have those conversations, to remind you to shift into that frame of reference. That sounds really simple, but it makes a really huge difference in how you carry yourself, the words that you use, even how you think about going into the conversation that you're having with sales.
Absolutely. And it is simple, and people try to make it so hard on themselves. They try to go into what they've been taught or what they've read is the right thing to do. And I so love the message here, which is you have to be thinking of the person that you're serving, what you need to be for them to hear your message, for them to be helped. And anytime we take the focus off of us and put it on the very people that are here in front of us wanting our help, everything goes more smoothly. And that's we want to be.
Absolutely. And I can tell you this, I have a program where I help people with their money mindset and their magnetism. And I had a client that didn't have sales for 7 months. And within the first month of us working together, and we did a number of different things, but specifically every day, she focused on how she was going to carry herself and how she was going to bring herself to the world. I call it being the best version of you. She was able to close a 5-figure sale. Yeah. In a way that felt really authentic to her. So this stuff works, even if it is simple.
Yep, absolutely. All right, what's your fast action tip 2 for us?
Number 2 is to shift your wording and your mindset from pricing to investment, and then stop spending your prospects' money. So let's talk about what that means. A lot of people talk about what's your pricing, or my pricing is this. And I'm going to suggest to you that especially if you're in a service industry, but even if you have products to sell, pricing is something you do with a commodity, right? The farmers that are growing corns and beans here in Illinois have a certain amount that they grow, and it's a commodity. Once it's gone, it's used up, and there's a price for purchasing that goes up and down on the commodities market. But that's not what happens when they work with you. When your prospects and your clients work with you, they are making an investment, because what you are doing with them, whether you have a service you're delivering for them or whether you have a product that they're purchasing, they are transforming as a process of interacting with you. And that's an investment, because that's something that's going to continue going for them even when you're no longer around. So start shifting your phrasing to investment, because it actually makes a difference in how you have your conversations. And then the second part of that is stop spending your prospects' money. I can't tell you the number of people that I talk to when I'm helping them with their sales, when they're trying to figure out their pricing, or when they're getting ready to have a conversation with a prospect that well, I'm not sure they have the money to work with me.
Oh, I know.
You don't know that. You don't know. They say don't judge a book by the cover, right? Even if somebody says they don't have money, they may have money they're willing to free up once they find out what your program is going to do for them.
Absolutely.
I have had clients identify funds from the most amazing places. And if I had gone into the conversation going, well, they probably won't work with me anyway, already I'm in this negative space thinking I'm not working with this person, and that's going to show in how I hold my conversations. So much better to stop spending your prospects' money for them. Don't assume anything about what they do or they don't have. Just serve and identify the best way that you're going to be able to help them, and help them see the transformation that they're going to get, and let them decide whether they really have the money or not.
I love that phrasing. Stop spending your client or prospects' money. And it's true. And that's far different from having a scale of services that if they can't afford that highest end service you provide, maybe that VIP day or the year-long program, let them decide what they can come in with. I love helping the newbie that's just making the transition as much as I do someone who's been in business for themselves for a while and just not making a profit at it. They may be short of funds. That's a real thing, but they need to decide what they're spending it on, not you.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. people spend money on all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's people that will go and spend, $600-700 on the latest smartphone every time it comes out, and they find a way to come up with that money where they may be doing something for themselves, and they say they don't have the money. So really, it's not a literal I do or don't have the money. What you're really doing is talking to them about their priorities and where they're going to put their dollar investment. And that's the other reason I say investment. The other piece to that, the kind of the side trick to this, is to understand sometimes people really want to do your program, and whatever investment amount that you quote them, and I have 5-figure programs that I sell and work with clients on, and they'll say that's absolutely, that's a deal, but it's cash flow. So sometimes it's not so much about deciding whether they want to do it or not. It's like, how can I make it happen? So when you stop the spending your prospects' money and you start actually partnering with them to say, okay, we've decided this is a really great program for you. We've decided that it's an investment amount you want to make, but cash flow is a challenge. How can we make that happen? Then you get creative over funding options. You get creative over pricing plans, and there's a lot of different ways that you can work with people. But just because somebody says I don't have the money, let them really hear how you're going to serve them. Don't you make those assumptions.
Right. And it's not just about working with you in the moment. This is a mindset that's going to affect all areas of their life and business, because if they're doing it with you, they're doing it in other areas and blocking their own path in other ways.
Right.
With that same phrasing, I don't have, or I can't free up. Yeah. For some clients, it's just a matter of stopping the pizza purchase, for 4 weeks, that frees up a lot of money. All right. I know you've got a couple more great tips for us.
I do. Okay. So when you're having your conversation with your prospect, I want you to totally shift away from thinking about the next thing you're going to say, and instead practice active listening. Because what typically happens is while your prospect is talking, you're thinking, okay, this is the next thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to tell them about this program, and then I'm going to tell. You're not really hearing what they're telling you. And people, when you're talking to them, really want to be understood. They work with people that understand their problem and they believe can help them solve that problem. So the best thing that you can do, again, is be of service and practice active listening. And what that means is you're not thinking about the next thing you're going to say. You're actually paying attention to what's being said to you and then repeating it back. So when you're talking with your prospect, a simple way to practice active listening is to say, okay, so what I heard you say was, and then repeat, paraphrase what you think you just heard say. Did I get that right? Because that's confirming back. It's also on a subconscious level, letting your prospect know you really are paying attention. So it does two positive things for you. And it's so simple to do. Google active listening if you've never heard of that before.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this isn't just for the sales conversation. This is in our whole life.
Absolutely.
If you're not having good conversations, clarity conversations in other areas of your life, you can use those same tips.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Great. All right. Tip number 4.
Tip number 4, do a mirror on the wall activity. So oftentimes people will get into a sales conversation, they'll be really engaged and they're practicing active listening and they're talking about investments and they're really focusing on the client or the prospective client. And then they get to the dollar part and they stumble because all of a sudden, I was doing really good until I had to tell them what the dollars were. And then they falter. Well, what I would like to suggest is that could be just because you don't have enough practice. So what I suggest you do is take your highest level investment amount, whatever that is, let's say $1 million, right, for the purpose of this example, and go in front of a mirror and just practice sharing your investment for the whatever program is $1 million. And then pay attention to your facial expressions. Pay attention to dips in your voice. Because what happens is if you really don't buy in to the pricing yourself, if there's something going on inside in your subconscious about the pricing, that comes out in your verbal tones, that comes out in your body language. And the prospect can hear that and see that, even if they're not exactly sure what they're hearing and seeing, there's something that's like, something's not right here. So if you practice speaking your investment amounts in the mirror, you can see where you have opportunities for work, and it's practice, so that when you actually get on the phone or when you're having those one-on-one conversations, it's something that you're just naturally doing.
Yeah. We did a lot of that back in my corporate advertising sales days, so in some of our trainings. And I know I tell my clients as well, practice and record yourself doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a friend who may also be struggling with that same thing, and have some fun with that playing back and forth, and sell each other the programs. And again, the word investment is so important, because I don't want people in my programs if they don't truly feel they're going to get the benefit.
Right.
And in order to truly feel it's going to be a benefit, they have to see it as an investment in their financial future, in their business future. So it's not just a jargon word. It's not a creepy, salesy, used car stereotypical trying to get you in. I actually go into the sales process with any of my prospects completely disengaged from whether they say yes or no. That helps me do some of the things that you suggest. I can listen to what they're actually saying. I can discuss the investment portion when we get to that part, if they're interested, if I feel that what I have to offer is good for them. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I recommend, after hearing you, I don't think I'm the best one to help you with what you need help with right now, but I've got people I'd love to recommend to you, and I put them together.
Same here. Yeah. And that could be fast action number 5. Because there are a lot of people that will go into sales conversations, and especially there's a lot of people now that are training, go into your sales conversations, have them in 15 or 20 minutes and knock it out. Well, okay, with some things you can probably do that really successfully, especially if you use some manipulative conversation techniques. I'm more of the belief of getting in and having a real conversation. Now, the reason that there are people that are training to do it in 15 or 20 minutes is because they're trying to look at the time value. The value of your time. I want to encourage you to consider something slightly different. I'm just like you, Kat. I don't go into a conversation automatically assuming I'm even going to offer a program to somebody. Yeah, exactly. I may not be the right fit. They may not be the right fit for me. They may not be somebody that I want to spend an extended amount of time talking with. I may want to give them a different option. There's a lot of different reasons, but in every single conversation I have, it's market research. So even if they don't become a client, I've just spent time getting real live data market research that I can use in my blog posts, in my videos, in my signature speeches, understanding the problems of people, and, an ebook. There's all kinds of opportunities that you could take from a conversation that doesn't turn into a client sale. It still could be market research. And when you walk into a conversation with that expectation, then again, you're carrying yourself differently, because you're going to go in with this mindset of service instead of the mindset of fear and lack and anxiety and, oh gosh, I need to make this sale.
Exactly. And the bottom line is that you will do better in business. You will generate more income for yourself and your business, and your business will grow, and you'll do what you went into the business for in the first place, which was to help people, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, tell us about some of your programs, or one of your programs.
Oh, sure. I have a number of different programs that I work with people. So I have a Clarity Catalyst program, and that's for somebody that needs more clarity around what they're doing in their business, whether it's their business model, who they're working with, how they're marketing. There's pieces that are going on that just aren't quite coming together exactly the way that they'd like. And we work together to get them that clarity and then move their business forward. I also have a program called Money, Mindset, and Magnetism. That's just fun for me to say. And that program is really about helping you get really super clear on the value that you deliver in what you do, how you're going to communicate that, and all the mindset stuff that goes on behind the scenes that keeps us from doing the things that we know we should be doing in our business. Because I call them visibility blocks and money blocks. They're just these things that we know we should be doing them, but we're not, and we're not exactly sure why. Well, we get to the bottom of that and we heal that. I call it working at the intersection of head and heart, because there is an element of strategy and tactics, but there's also an element of introspection and really getting the way that you think about what you do in alignment with who you are. And then the last program I'll tell about today, because I know we're short on time, is my Own Your Brilliance program, and Own and Leverage Your Brilliance program. And that's where we take what you've got already going and really skyrocket and leverage it for it. Because there's a lot of people that will start their business and they're 3 to 5 years in, and all of a sudden they've kind of created this trap for themselves where they're working and working and working and working and not necessarily getting the same output as what they would want or what they used to get. When we're owning and leveraging our brilliance, the leverage being the more powerful part of that conversation, that's where we're ending up being able to get that guilt-free freedom that I talked about a moment ago. So it's building out the business model and tweaking it so that you can have the freedoms and the joys that you want in your life, along with the powerful profitability and meaningful service that you're going to have too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You're doing such a great job helping people understand how to do this sales conversation with a prospect or even with a current client that may be ready to continue with you or advance to a different program or switch things out, whatever. You're going to be the ideal person to help people understand who your target is by demonstrating to us who your ideal target audience is. Who's your ideal client?
Sure. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. I work with people that I call the world changers. Now, here's the trick. Most people I work with when I first start working with them don't view themselves that way. So I always have to put other words to it too, right? But inside, I know I'm working with world changers. I'm working with coaches, speakers, authors, holistic healthcare practitioners, service providers that have a message to share and have knowledge to impart on another group of people that are also freedompreneurs. And what I mean by that is they want to make a powerful profit, but really the reason they're in business is because they want freedom to live their life the way that they want to live it and live it around their values. And so I work together to combine the two to make a really life-loving business.
Right. And we serve, this is what's really interesting and some people don't get, how someone like you and I who serve exactly the same target market, why there's room for both of us and so many others is because of what happens in schools a lot. Not every student learns the same way from the same teacher. Right. And sometimes we need to hear the same messages tweaked, delivered in different ways before we internally get it and put it to action. So I also serve, the service-based professional who works from home or is looking to transition. Sometimes they're actually a career-oriented person or a retail small business, but they work from home. They have a home office in some way. Also writers and artists tend to be a big one, but that partly because my background was in writing and editing and publishing and things like that. So to get clear, you have to be clear on that. And I love that you're the type of person that for some of my clients aren't ready for a program. I don't have the right mindset to be ready for your program yet. They're still getting their traction on their beginning things. And I think that's important too. A lot of people get enticed by certain gurus' claims of making it, 6-7 figures and how easy it can be and the fake it till you make it. And I don't buy that. It's practice till you make it and all kinds of things. And they'll jump into a program that they may really not be able to afford. That's beyond because they have nothing coming in to support that. And they end up having such a bad response to the program. It hits them too hard financially, too hard emotionally, too hard physically, may damage their relationships, that they get sworn off the sales process of what brought them in to begin with. So my target market are those people that really aren't suited for those great big programs yet. Now, could I be making more selling the high? I've got a higher end program for people that continue with me, but I also have a lot of clients that have tried those other programs and couldn't figure out why they didn't work for them. It's because you weren't ready for that step.
Well,
so I love having people like Stephanie around to say,
and I love talking about alignment. You brought up a topic that's like one of my soapbox topics, and we don't have time to really dive into it.
Go for it. We've got a little time, so go for it.
I am such a believer that there are all kinds of different types of transformational service providers out there. You and I are both one of them, right? But there are a lot of people that will get so sucked up in the sales copy or the webinars that they forget to look at if the person that's doing that webinar or the sales copy or the sell from the stage is actually in alignment to who they are, right? So like you said, you work with a lot of newer entrepreneurs. I don't. I am, in fact, when newer entrepreneurs come to me, I refer them out because I learned a long time ago that that's not my forte, nor do I have the patience, quite honestly. I'm helping people that are a little further in on their journey who are going to that next phase in their business. So I have that clarity too. There's other elements. How do you learn? You know, are you auditory? Are you visual? Are you kinesthetic? What type of learning? Are you somebody that can buy into a multi-$1,000 program that's a group program and work independently? Or are you somebody that's going to work better working one-on-one and be honest? Not who you, not what you want to be able to say, but be honest about what type of person are you and how are you going to get best served. The other thing that I would encourage you to do if you are looking at hiring a transformational service provider is to really look at the lifestyle that they have. The client that I mentioned earlier that didn't have sales for 7 months and when we started working together was able to make a sale within the first 30 days. She had hired a coach, a consultant, and she had bought into a really large mastermind, and the mastermind totally screwed her up. And it wasn't because this other person was bad.
That's the point.
It wasn't. I couldn't badmouth this person at all because they've done some really great things with other people. The problem was that this person that she ended up buying into a mastermind with didn't live the type of life that she wanted. So this expert was single, traveled all over the place, was very high octane, you know, very, very high energy, on stages all the time. You know, her mode of selling didn't match my client, who was from the Midwest, was married. Her marriage and spending time with her husband was very important, was a mom, and wanted to really be a good mom and be very present for her mom. So the tactics and strategies that this other coach was providing were valid and they were effective, just not for her, you know.
Exactly.
And so and there's also a difference between hiring somebody that's a coach that's creating mini me's. So they found something that works for them and they're just teaching it over and over and over again.
Or they're teaching somebody else's program.
Yeah, or that too.
They haven't made for themselves yet.
Then it's really important if that's somebody that you're hiring to make sure that you're really, really in alignment with who they are, what they stand for, how they're living their lives, how they're running their business. Because if you're not, if you're disconnected there, then what they're teaching you probably isn't going to work for you. And then there's what I call more traditional coaches, which is where I sit, where my work isn't so much teaching a blueprint as much as it is helping you to solve your problems and move your business forward in a way that matches who you are, not who I am. I'm not trying to create more mini me's. The world can only handle one Stephanie as it is.
The same here. It's like
my husband and son agree. One is enough. You know, so and I think you work in a similar way, Kat, and that you're helping your clients figure out what it is that their goals are if they don't know, and then helping them get really clear on how to move their business forward. Both types of service delivery are valid. It's just a matter of they're going to be a better fit for you or not, depending on who you are and where you are within your business.
Exactly. Right. And that's what's so cool about what we do, the billions of people out there. And I'm sure you've heard people say, well, I can't find people to buy my program. It's like, well, you're just not sending out the right energy in the right way. Let's reevaluate what it is you're doing and how you're doing it and what you're offering. Um, we have, I've come across several people that are in independent distributor type relationships with Avon or Mary Kay or Tupperware, whatever. And occasionally I see social media posts where the sales, and we're talking about a product at this point, okay, but the sales is still a service. I'm going to help you solve your kitchen or storage issues, right? And it's like, I need to make a sale today, it's like, wait a minute, that's not, it's not about you. That's where we started with your tips. Right. It's not about you. Right. Be the person that the prospect, your future client needs you to be, but be that person authentically, who you really are. And being who we really are, you and I are very clear on who we are. So when we share that, it's not creepy. It's not salesy. This is what you get. And if this is a good fit, come on, join. Right. Either one of us. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a JV sometime in the future because this is awesome. It's very good balance of energies here. All right. We had some great comments in the chat. I put your contact information as well as the link for, I believe that's the B program. The StephanieCalahan.com B.
Well, can I explain a quick minute what that is?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
That is a free offer. When you go to StephanieCalahan.com/BBE. And it's off of my first tip where I talked about deciding who you were going to be in the conversation. Well, for some people, they're like, I don't even know where to start. And so this is a guide that I originally created for my private clients that I decided to open up to a broader audience. And it's a workbook that will literally work you through where are you today? Who are you when you're doing your sales? Who are you when you're working with your clients? Who are you when you're interacting with your significant other? And what are those words? And then helps you shift that into thinking about how you can be the best version of you. Because when you don't have to be somebody different. I'm not expressing, or I want to make clear, I'm not telling you to invent yourself into somebody you're not, because I am all about authenticity. I can't tell you enough. Please do not be fake. It doesn't work and it makes you feel miserable. It's all about authenticity. But even within authenticity, we have different versions of ourselves. So can I give an example?
Sure.
We have time.
We're going to make time because this is important stuff.
All right. So when I started my business officially in 2002, but then full time in 2003. When I started, I had zero marketing budget. So I'm like, okay, I can do PR, I can do networking meetings. And when I thought networking meetings, I'm like, ugh. Give me a root canal rather than go to a networking meeting. But at the time, I was like, okay, well, but there's a lot of supposedly really good groups around here. Let me go. And so I actually went to one about an hour away from here. It's the National Association of Women Business Owners. And I hugged the wall and I watched everybody. I felt like I was back in junior high at a dance, hoping that somebody would come and ask me to dance, and it wasn't a really great conversation. And then I went home and I kind of reviewed in my mind. I'm like, okay, that didn't go really well. What's going on there? And so I started looking at my B, and I was nervous. I was self-conscious. I was worried I wasn't dressed right. I mean, all these things that just, frankly, didn't matter, really. But there are things that a lot of us think about when we go to a networking meeting. That's all those self-conscious anxiety things about putting ourselves out there. And so I decided I was going to try it one more time. Only this time, I was going to go and look for somebody else that looked as uncomfortable as I felt. And then I was going to be welcoming and empowering and put myself in a hostess position, even though I was new to the group and wasn't even a member. And so that's what I did. I decided that I was going to be, I even physically carried myself differently as I was thinking about these things. How can I make somebody else feel welcome in this environment? How can I make someone else feel good about their time at this particular event? And so that's what I did. And I went in with a different state of being, a better version of me. It was still me. The words I used were still me. And how I chose to carry myself was still me, just not the lesser version of me, the best version of me. It was amazing how different that experience was. And actually, some of the women I met at that event, which, like I said, was a number of years ago now, I'm still colleagues and friends with, because I made them feel welcome. And then they stepped out and I shared my trick. I told other people what I was doing, and they started doing it too. And the networking within that group actually started improving just because people started carrying themselves a little differently.
Stop doing what they thought was the prim, proper, professional thing to do and started being themselves.
Human to human, right?
Yes, exactly.
Human to human.
We're winding down here, but I do want to mention Cindy's comments. She's write it for you here. And she said, I really liked the don't spend your clients' money. I so often just do something gratis because I think someone can't afford it or is quick. Or it is quick, so I don't have to charge for it. That's somebody who's not valuing her own time.
Right.
Then I get upset with myself because it took longer than expected, or it was not the original problem, or it was not what the original problem was, and I have to go deeper into the problem to help them fix it. And then you're spending your time, and there's no ROI, return on investment for you in that, and the return on investment for them goes down too because they don't value you as much. So they're not going to see
tip number 6 for that.
All right, go for it.
All right, so right for you. Here's the trick to that one, and I'm so glad that you don't spend your prospects or your clients' money. That's awesome. Here's the other thing to look at that I use all the time throughout my day in my business and personal. Do what I call the resentment test. And that's once you practice it for a while, it can happen within a matter of seconds. At first, it takes a little longer because you got to practice it. But really what that means is you sit quietly with yourself and you say, if I make this decision, am I going to have any resentment at all with the decision that I made? And if the answer is yes, don't do it. Again, super simple technique. And here's the twist to that. So if you do have resentment, then that's an opportunity to tweak the decision until you don't have resentment. There are people that I offer to go to coffee with and spend time with and help them with their business, and I would never think to put them in a program. It's something that I do gratis, and I have no bad feelings about it. I enjoy the conversation, and they're better off, and I'm better off, and we go on with our day. There are other instances where I wouldn't feel good about that because the particular person that's inviting me out to coffee is really out to use me, not necessarily to build a relationship. And it's clear, and I'd have a lot of resentment about that, so that's a no. So I give myself permission to, rather than building out these scenarios of I will do this or I won't do that, I give myself permission to look at it on a case-by-case basis and just do that resentment test. Would I have any resentment doing whatever I'm thinking about doing? If the answer is yes, I don't do it, and I tweak it until whatever I decide to do brings up no resentment. I do that when I'm deciding my pricing. I do that when I decide my program design. I do that when I decide whether I'm going to come on a show or not. Kat asked for me to come on a show. This is taking my time to prep for it. It took my time to talk with her about it, time to be on here. If I was going to feel resentful after doing it, why do it? That brings in all, again, I'm talking about guilt-free freedom, right? So if I want to be guilt-free and resentment-free and happy with where I choose to spend my time. So that's tip number 6. Do a resentment test and see if that doesn't help you with what you're choosing to offer or not offer to people. Along with, don't spend money that you don't know whether they do or don't have. It's not yours to spend, it's theirs to spend.
Exactly. And we're going to wrap up with one other tip here. So many times I hear other service-based professionals who are just getting started or haven't got any traction yet, try to go the completely, I will go to the self-study programs, all of the freebies out there. I'll gain all of this knowledge and never give themselves permission to invest in help for themselves. Every good coach that I know, including myself, we pay for our own coaching that's at a higher level than we're at. It's where we're going to be. And what really turned that light on for me about that was a coach who once said, you know, how can you expect someone else to value your services and invest with you with real money if you don't see the value in spending real money to invest in yourself and your learning process?
Absolutely.
So we'll leave that as a great ending point to some great six
We've been in six
great fast action tips that you can take action on today. I especially love the one about don't spend your clients' money. That's a mindset thing. You can do that in the flick of a switch in your brain at each opportunity you find yourself doing that. The resentment test, that's an ongoing action. You're going to be taking steps. I have something similar. I just call it something different because we all have different programs. And then all of the tips in between. So if you're here live, you got the best of the best because you got the energy from this. If you're watching this on the replay, take this stuff and use it. Let both Stephanie and myself know what worked for you. You're all invited to join my Facebook group called Rocking Your Path Community. My main website is rockingyourpath.com. And until next time, this is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, closing this episode of Fast Action Friday and reminding you to keep rocking your unique path to success.